Are we ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the sip and chat segment of Wita's Words. And Jasmine and I were having a quick laugh last night, and we thought we could just call it Wine with Wita. What a funny name to
I love it.
to have my favorite wine, and also having a chat with lovely people in the speech pathology world.
Yeah.
So it was funny because I was
Mum
having a
life,
chat.
this is the best
Mum
way to
life,
catch up with the wine, right?
all the kids are down and it's quiet, and it's just nice to have a
For
glass
now.
of wine.
I will get an interruption, just warning you, when my kids run in, but
Exactly. I'm assuming someone's going to knock on the door or something
yeah,
anytime soon.
yeah.
So I created Wita's Words as a way to help people provide resources for them, but also to have guest speakers to provide insight into the reality of a child with a communication delay or a child with a disability. I feel once a parent has a child diagnosed, they're sometimes isolated, confused, and lost in the big wide world of internet online, and they feel lonely. And I thought this might be a lovely section for parents, or a beautiful segment for parents to feel included, heard, just even advised as to what options are there for support, especially when there's so much confusion out there. So thank you for being
Thank
my first
you.
guest speaker. Yeah, I love it. I love
I'm the
it. So
guinea pig, so excuse
you're the
us.
guinea pig.
And I've had a day, let me tell you.
I know
So
you
excuse
have.
me, as I've given you a brief rundown. So yeah, but we'll see
I'm,
how
I'm,
we go.
we'll just track it and
I'm very
keep.
honoured to be able
Yeah.
to do this, and yeah, like you said, absolutely, we do need support, and it's amazing as a therapist that you're providing this platform. So
Oh,
thank
it's
you,
just
and
what I want
particularly
to
on
do.
Carers Week, which is very nice. So
Yeah, it
to all my
is.
fellow carers, hello, and I acknowledge you, and I hear you, and I see you, and hope you get some time to celebrate you in the
Yeah,
chaos of it all.
they're all
Yeah.
amazing, all amazing. So how did we meet? I didn't just randomly pick you up the street. How long ago? Probably 8 years ago, when you were running Project Generosity. Yeah, I
Mm,
approached you
mm.
to do some. I think there was a little client that needed some speech, and I was trying to figure out how I can offer services to her.
Yes.
Um, and then one
I
thing,
have a
I don't know
terrible memory, but I clearly remember that you reaching out to me, and yeah, asking how you can support this client. So people probably have no idea what we're talking about, but I used to
yeah.
run a charity called Project Generosity, which was completely volunteer based, and the idea was to support families going through a difficult time through comfort boxes. So we used to get the community together and donate gifts and services to help bring joy to families. So I came across lots of families with disabilities and challenges, and during that time, I shortly after I became pregnant with Jonah, and just the irony of it all, I ended up becoming one of those people needing my own smile box.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I remember, when I first had that diagnosis, the first people I reached out to were actually some of those people that I came into contact with through Project Generosity. So it's amazing
It's like
how things happen in life.
it's
But
like the
yeah, and then
universe gave you an insight into it to prepare you for the services
yeah,
that you
I
need to
honestly
access.
do
Yeah.
believe that. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then one thing led to another, and I treated Jonah for a short period. I remember we were treating him with blueberries and the Despacito song with more and
Right.
on and on. Yeah, how fun is that?
Yeah,
It was
and we're probably still treating him the same way.
and then one thing led to another, and we're here, I guess.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a privilege to still be in contact and to build such a beautiful friendship with you as well, even though I'm not treating
absolutely.
Jonah. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
thank you.
there are some people that don't know Jonah's story because they haven't followed Dancing. Is it Dancing Under the Rain or Dancing with the Rain?
Dancing,
His link is
dancing through the rain.
Dancing through the
And
Rain.
just for the background for that is my Jonah loves to dance. No matter what, he goes through lots of challenges, hospital visits and everything, and he gets through it through dancing. He'll have a seizure, we'll put music on, and he just dances through it. So he's
And he just brings so much
absolutely
joy. He's such a happy baby. He's such
really
a happy
is.
child. He's such a
Yeah,
happy child. And I feel
he
that's a lot
really
of
is.
credit to you and your family as well for just continually bringing joy to him all the time, despite his
Thank
hardships.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he brings joy to us, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
So
So
tell me, diagnosis. So when you first found out the diagnosis and the steps that you took from there.
yeah. Okay, so Jonah's 7 next week, actually.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So I have 2 other children before Jonah, an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. So Jonah was my third. And he was very unsettled as a baby, as all my kids were, very refluxy. But as he started to reach at around 3-4 months mark, I started to notice a few things that weren't sitting right with me because I had other children and I compared. So some of the signs were that his hands were always in a fist. He wasn't reaching for things. When I started solids, he couldn't tolerate solids at all. He was gagging and vomiting profusely. Wasn't really responding to noises. So I had 2 little children who were running around, running amok, and wasn't really, reacting to those sounds. So I started to talk to my GPs. I saw a few different doctors telling them about my concerns, but the advice was, no, he's fine. Wait till he's 9 months. If he's not making progress, then we'll reassess it. But it just didn't sit right with me. So I kept going. Here we go. Hi. That's okay. Okay, I'm busy at the moment, but if you can go for a shower, please. Sorry.
That's fine. Did they just finish touch football?
Yeah. Thank you. That's all right. Thank you so much. Now I lost my train of thought. So doctor said, don't worry, wait till he's 9 months. But I just knew in my gut something wasn't right. So I actually saw a friend of mine who's a GP and asked for her opinion. And she heard my concerns straight away and she said, no, you really need to see a paediatrician. So from there, the paediatrician also agreed and got us in to see a neurologist pretty quickly. And at that time, he wanted to run a whole range of tests, which was going to take a while, particularly an MRI, which, it has to go through the kids' hospital for children under 1. So that was quite a long wait list. But he had enough concerns to say that regardless of the outcome, he's going to need early intervention. So we got into therapy pretty quickly. He linked us in with Cerebral Palsy Alliance at the time. So that's
was his
where.
diagnosis cerebral palsy, or were they still querying what did he have?
So they didn't know, but he felt that there was something with the brain, a neurological disorder. And despite the diagnosis, he was going to need therapy anyway. So to him, it didn't matter what the diagnosis was.
Yeah.
So rather than wait till 9 months or, you got to start early intervention straight away. So we did. And then it wasn't until 9 months that we got the MRI, which then confirmed he had a brain malformation, which we then did genetic tests, which confirmed he had a genetic disorder. Now, at the time, I was very naive, and I thought a genetic disorder meant that it's something that you carry on, that it's something in the family, but no, it's not. My husband and I aren't carriers of this condition. It's just one of those things that happen. It's a mutation in one of his genes. So he has a diagnosis of something called pachygyria. It means his brain isn't formed properly. which then leads to a whole host of other issues and complications. So he has epilepsy, very severe epilepsy. It's actually drug resistant, treatment resistant. We've tried many, many different types of treatments, including natural therapies and diets and all sorts of things. He's on 5 very high dose, strong medications and still having seizures. And he has a global developmental delay. He has cerebral palsy.
Was he
So
having
he has lots and lots of
seizures at that 9 month time, or was he getting seizures later?
later.
Yeah, because I recall
So,
you posted something where he was in the cot and you heard like a noise, and that
oh,
just
wow.
shook your world
Memory.
slightly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
we were told at the time when we got the diagnosis, with this condition, you should watch out for seizures. And, you know, everything's just so overwhelming at the time. We kind of put that in our back pocket and thought, okay. But then, yeah, at 14 months, I think it was his first seizure.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, it was just a noise that I heard from my room. And yeah, it was one of the worst days of my life. And
I bet.
it's been downhill from there, unfortunately, because seizures have just really are very impactful. Jonah, yes, we started early intervention and it's been amazing and he's made a lot of progress, but epilepsy keeps just getting in the way and really robbing him of a lot of his skills and milestones. You know, he makes progress, but it just keeps setting him back. So it's incredibly frustrating. It's really, really challenging, but you know,
I can
it
only
is what it is.
imagine. I can only imagine being a mother, and then you have 2 older children that you need to care for, and then having this news that your third is having extreme difficulties. Were you given any support through the hospital to guide you, or were you just referring to internet resources or to peer or friends to kind of give you guidance, or did you feel a bit lonely at that time?
So interesting question. I'm just going to have a sip.
I might have some too. Just by the way, how big is this glass? I've packed my glasses away, so a friend has lent me her glass, and I'm like, it's like the size of my head. So shout out to Vanessa. Thanks for your glass, Vanessa.
Back then.
Thank you.
So one of my biggest shocks actually was the lack of support. My background is social work. So coming into this space, I was shocked that, you know, I was linked with lots of services, but not emotional support. Yeah, particularly with organisations like the Cerebral Palsy Alliance, I just assumed that that would be something that they would offer, but it just wasn't there. And
Was
you know, some
NDIS
therapists.
available at that time?
It was
Okay.
quite new,
Yeah.
but because we were linked with Cerebral Palsy Alliance through a study, so Jonah got to be enrolled in a study for 2 years, so we actually got therapy for free for 2 years, so we didn't need NDIS. So that was all a bit new to me. 2 years later, we had to apply, and I was paying for private therapy as well, to be honest. I didn't know much. I didn't know anything about NDIS. No one told me anything. You're just kind of given this diagnosis and, you know, you just run with it. And
Whatever
I
it
find myself pretty,
takes.
yeah. And I think I am quite resourceful because of my background, social work. I know how to, you know, kind of navigate the system and know supports that are in place. So, you know, I advocated and researched and did all that. But I really feel for a lot of families who, and I struggled, and I still do. And so yeah, and it's a common theme you will hear amongst carers. There's just no support, and even with NDIS, it's not about the carer; it's about the participant, which is a massive. It is really sad because when the carer's not looked after, you know,
The child is
who's there to look
looked
after?
after.
Absolutely. And there is the carer gateway, which is one support, which is great. But even then, you know, they were limited in their resources. So, yeah.
As a clinician, we need to support the parents most of the time and guide them appropriately, so then they can support their child. And I guess the NDIS doesn't recognize the strength of a parent is also the strength to the child as well.
Absolutely.
It's like there's a misconception and a gap in the scheme of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And carers are tired, and it's sad because not everyone. I hear carers all the time. I'm tired. I'm not going to fight NDIS, and they miss out on those supports because they're trying to fight this system that's just bigger than them. And yeah, it is a big fight. To be honest, I'm about to go to tribunal, and it's exhausting. But I will do it because it's for my son. And but I can understand how some carers just, throw their hands up in the air because it is. And you've got so much going on. We're so burnt out. There's so much to manage. But
so in terms of the service, so you've received this diagnosis that there's a neurological impairment as such, and he needs to access occupational therapy, speech pathology, physiotherapy, most likely some extra social work for you. So you're bombarded with all these services that you need to access. Were you guided as to what you should do first in the early intervention journey, or just do it all at the one time? Tell me about that. What did you access?
Well, it was just I was just told to do this study, and we got lucky where we were there. Correct me if I'm. There's the control group and what's the other one? We were the one that got the
trial. The trial. I think
we were the one that got because there was ones that got, I think, monthly therapy, and we got the weekly therapy, which was amazing.
That's amazing,
and
we were very fortunate. Included in that?
It was physio and OT, and then speech didn't come till I think he was 2. And that was something I was saying, doesn't he need speech? And they said, we wouldn't do that till later. So often it's really they rely on the parent to speak up. But if you're not, there's no one there guiding you. You need to do this. You need to do this. And the biggest, I'm sure a lot of carers will relate as well. One of the biggest frustrations when I really struggled to come school time, no one guided me with this whole process, and it's a big process to get into a special school. And there's a service that you can access for early intervention before getting into school. I missed out on that because no one told me about it.
Really? Not even your childcare?
Oh, it was a conversation we did discuss, but I don't even know what happened at the time. It did. I think we were too late.
I think because I met Jonah at 3. And I remember having those discussions with you with what school options are there, especially because your children go to a mainstream school, and we kind of had hope, could he be accepted in there? And we were just sitting on the fence, weren't we?
And I honestly, I don't know if it was denial. I honestly thought he would be, I thought, early intervention, he'll be okay. Right. And he wasn't. And I think that's what it was. I really struggled at that time because I thought, oh my God, I spent all this time, 4 years of his life, therapy. I did intense therapy. We were doing weekly 3-week blocks of intensive therapy for 3 hours a day. And I just thought, he's going to be okay. But he wasn't. So that was a really big shock, and a lot of grief around that as well. It was
and anger.
Really, so many emotions. So I really struggled come that time. And I think that's a real
CPA,
like I said, no one tells me.
CPA didn't offer you any psych. Did CPA or CP Alliance offer any psych support for you? Or counselling?
Not through their services. It was something I spoke to them about, and the physio at the time was quite good and said, I'll do some research and try and find some support for you, which was private. I never really took it up because it's always hard to, without knowing the reputation of these people.
To open up and disclose so much information that's quite personal, and but it's quite an intimate relationship, right? And
but also to find someone who has a good understanding of disability, because even as a social worker, I thought I understood. I thought I had empathy. I thought of those things, but you can't truly understand until you walk those shoes and had some,
Absolutely.
experience. So yeah,
Absolutely.
you want to
So,
feel.
so tell us, so you've had all this experience with your child and you've stressed there was minimal support for you as a carer. What made you investigate ways that you could be a support to other parents in a similar position?
I think through social media, I've made lots of connections with other mums
With the same
going through similar
diagnosis?
journey. No, I don't know anyone else with this diagnosis, similar
Mm,
diagnosis in terms of global development delay or epilepsy and things like that. But Jonah's
mm.
condition is quite rare. But yeah, I've just made lots of connections through and the charity and therapy and school. And I guess a lot of people have, I don't know, with my background, they've come to me for support in lots of different ways, whether it's, information, emotional support. So I feel like I was offering that social work service anyway, and it is something I'm passionate about, and particularly because there is that lack of support. And
And what I
I
like,
don't.
what I love about you, Jasmine, you don't sugarcoat the situation. You demonstrate your difficulties and you embrace them. And I guess parents are scared of showing it just for, I think, a backlash or maybe just fear for their
Mm,
child. But I guess what you display is the reality of having a child with a disability and the services that you're struggling to access, but also the success that he's also achieving as well, which I
yeah.
think is so beautiful, where you show the pros and the cons. And I feel there needs to be more exposure of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm an open book and I'm very
Mm,
much about sharing Jonah's journey, because I think with education comes, that's when we reduce stigma.
yeah.
Um, so I'm very open about our journey. And I just lost my train of thought.
Like, guess what? Your Instagram has the pros and the cons as well. But I wanted to touch base. It's okay. Are your kids running in the background?
Not yet, but
um, I
I've
wanted
just, like I said, I've had a day. But anyway, um, but yeah, yeah. Sorry, what were you going to
so
say?
I was going to touch base with the cultural aspect. So you're from your husband's Middle Eastern, and are you half Middle Eastern?
I
How was that? How did you find that navigating um, dealing with their just the way that they are, and your without sounding so hard, your
It's
understanding
just like
exactly
you
what
don't
I'm
even need
saying.
to explain, right? It's just
No, I'm just like, you just get the culture. I get the culture, and I'm sure other people watching have similar cultural experiences of denial, expectations, and the grief process, I guess.
Mm,
I guess when I call communication difficulties the invisible disability, because if a child is in a chair because they have physical
mm,
difficulties, it's quite concerning. Whereas if a child's
mm.
non-verbal, you have these hopes that, oh, it's okay, your brother didn't talk to he was 7, he'll be fine. And look at him now, he's so successful. Or don't worry, give him time, he's good, yeah? And I guess they mean well, they have positive intentions, but sometimes that is quite, I call it toxic positivity.
Yeah,
It's you don't need to hear that in when you're bombarded with a true diagnosis like that.
yeah, absolutely. And look, when I was investigating, not only did I have um, I had doctors telling me, no, there's nothing wrong with him. So can you imagine family and friends?
Mm,
People, I got
mm.
told I was a hypochondriac. Don't you think you jumped the gun? Um, you know, yeah, I had all sorts of things that made me feel really shit. But
Mm,
I knew that there was something wrong, and that's where for me, it's about empowering mums and carers and parents as well. That back yourself. You know your
follow
child
your
best.
mother's gut. Mm,
Um,
listen to your
yeah,
gut.
and please don't go on Facebook asking for opinions on your child's
Mm.
development. If you have concerns,
What's
please
that? What's that
investigate
page?
and
Five
don't.
Minute Mums.
Sorry.
Like Like that page 5 Minute Mums where they're
Yes,
asking
I
about developmental
cringe
questions.
all the
Don't,
time
yeah.
because I had numerous medical doctors telling me there was nothing wrong with my son. How are
Mm.
you asking a random mum about your child? And yes, and I get it, they want that reassurance, that peace of mind, but that's not addressing if there is concern. Well, that's okay, not now. Just put it in the fridge for me, please.
Always follow your gut and always seek the professional advice. Always. Yeah, that's what I
Absolutely.
believe in.
And don't even sometimes. I got some news today that
Oh
I didn't
no.
like, and I'm not following the advice. I'm a bit of a rebel because I know my son, and I've got an amazing team around Jonah. Um, and Tiago, I think you're watching. I don't know if you're
He
still there.
is.
He
I
is.
saw him watching. I've heard many wonderful things about you, Tiago. I think I want to watch one of your sessions with your
Yeah.
permission.
Oh, hello.
Hi, AJ.
Um, yeah. Yeah, I had a bad day today, but
Yeah.
he backed me up, and he knows Jonah better than someone who's just met him for 10 minutes and
Mm.
trying to comment on his abilities. I've had pediatricians tell me that
True.
he needs,
He
yeah.
goes, I'm here.
Yeah, so my point is just back yourself, trust your gut, trust your instincts, and keep getting opinions if something doesn't sit right with you, or if a doctor's telling you to do something that you don't feel sits right with you, you don't necessarily have to do that. Get another opinion. Yeah, just find there are good people out there that are willing to listen and be
I wanted to
thorough.
also mention, despite all the hardships that you were experiencing, it was so lovely to see you enjoy one of your passions, which was photography. And I guess it's as a parent, it's on a caregiver, it's so important to not forget who you are
Mm.
and what you were like before being a parent. Tell me about your photography business.
Yeah, so that was a bit random. That came. So everything in life happens for a reason, and that happened because of Jonah and my caring role, and I didn't want to completely lose myself, so I wanted to do something else that was flexible, and I
Hmm.
loved photography, so I just did some online courses. And it was actually meant to just start off as product photography, but it just
Just one thing
expanded
led
from
to
there.
another.
So
Well,
somehow I
your
became
work's
an event
beautiful.
photographer. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, one of my hopes is to really focus on photography for kids with special needs. From
Yeah,
what I hear, that is a bit of a niche because
it's a
not many
challenge.
people can relate. It is a challenge because your kids may not sit still and may not,
Mm.
but they may not smile. I've told people photographers have said, "Why isn't your child smiling?"
Might
So
have difficulty smiling. Yeah.
yeah, or they're not going
And
to look
every
at the
parent
camera.
and every parent wants those family moments, right? And to hang
Absolutely.
around their wall. So
And the best
definitely
thing is
something
those natural moments where, just forget about the camera and just have fun. So,
for
yeah,
you,
I hope that's
for
something
you.
we can. I have put it on hold, but yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
whether it's something I can pick
So
up again.
now let's get to the $1 million question. Tell us about, he's eating his dinner. What's for dinner,
Acai bowl.
AJ?
That's no.
Oh yeah, an acai bowl for dinner.
That's not his dinner.
That's
That's
it.
dessert. We had Wita
Oh
ane
yum,
for
enjoy.
dinner.
Oh, it's funny. I was at having a therapy session, the Wita, words with Wita, wine with Wita. And I said, maybe I should do dinner and say, Wita ane with Wita. Like,
I could have done that tonight.
oh, you could have done that tonight. We could have made it together. So tell me what
Actually,
led
sorry,
you
can I
to,
just say one
yeah,
thing that's come to me when you asked about culturally?
yeah, sorry.
I think a big thing, I was brought up, and I'm sure many other in the same culture, that you don't talk about these things that,
No,
yeah,
that's
um,
forbidden.
yeah,
It's
um,
like a ab. In
but
Arabic, we say it's ab. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
but quite, like I said, I think awareness is so important. And I talk to my kids about it from little. My kids knew from 3 how to manage a seizure. seizure, 3 and 5.
It's amazing.
So they're well aware, and I was also brought up at the idea that you don't stare, you don't look at someone if they've got a disability, but it's okay, you can look. Don't be rude, but say hi, smile. And it's totally okay to ask questions too. I had once a child ask his mum what's in, because Jonah had an NG tube. And he's like, why does he have that? And the mum was mortified. She was so embarrassed, and she quickly rushed him along and said, don't ever ask that again. That's when stigma happens, when we teaching our, and I get it, you know.
So how do you feel when okay, so tell me the two flips. So how do you feel when the parent acts in that manner versus how do you feel when a child comes up to you and asks, why is there a tube there?
Well, on the other hand, I'll tell you another story that's happened to me when I was in the shops and Jonah had his walker and I had all these people staring at me and I could hear people saying, oh, look at that little boy, poor thing. It's not poor thing, like how amazing he's got independence. And then I had one little boy, he was sitting, his mum was getting her nails done, and he was peering out through the window and he waved to Jonah. And I went into that place and I said to her, you've raised a beautiful boy. Thank you. Yeah, so
see, that's such a beautiful, just to include and just to be you and don't be scared.
Yeah. And that's why you need to have those open conversations and, there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not this terrible, my biggest fear was having a child with a disability, honestly it was. And yeah, here I am, and yes, it's hard. Of course it's hard. No one wants to see their child suffer, but he has taught me so much. We love him so much. Isn't Jonah amazing? He's very lucky to have two. We've got another one here.
Hi, Olivia.
Amazing
I love how they're watching you. It's such a beautiful moment that they're watching. They must be so proud of you.
To hide. I talk to them about Jonah all the time. I tell them what a horrible day I had today. Because you're nodding, yeah.
I was eating it, sorry, Bo.
Yeah.
So tell me about inclusion, the inclusion spot. What sparked that for you and why did you want to go down this path?
I guess, like I said, the lack of support out there for carers. Just I've been extremely overwhelmed with, and it's hard to find therapists who want to work together. Not saying they don't exist, there are some, but there is some resistance with some. To me, one of the first things I did, I remember, for me as a social worker, you work in a multidisciplinary team. Let's have a case management team. And I remember Cerebral Palsy Alliance thought I was so strange. I got my therapist together and it just kind of didn't go anywhere. But I'm like, doesn't everyone need to communicate and know what the goals are so we're all working together? Anyway, so I just think that's so important. And I just want to be that support to people that I never had, that I don't have, whether it's that emotional support, whether it's navigating the system, because it is tough, it is confusing, it's not always for the participant in mind, unfortunately, even though they say it is. But there are a lot of holes in the system, and so you need an advocate, and I'm happy I want to be that advocate for you because I get it. I'm walking those shoes now. I truly understand and can truly empathise. So I just.
So do you find you're wearing like the social worker hat, but then you're putting your experiences with Jonah and every other person that you've spoken to in a similar situation? And if someone approaches you in regards to, say, NDIS, because it's so complex and frustrating, you can say, well, you can do X, Y, Z. And even the schooling system, the fact that you were unaware before you enrolled Jonah into school, now you know the early intervention path that every child can access. You just advise that, or do you have other people involved in the organisation to help?
So we're looking at a lot of different things. Social work is one aspect. It's a one-stop spot, as the name says,
Yes. Yeah.
inclusion spot. And so we're also looking at support workers, so to support families who need that extra assistance. Even looking at ways that we can support allied health professionals. So really, bringing everything together. It is a work in progress, so I won't say too much, but we're doing lots of work behind the scenes, and I'm really excited.
Is it case
Um,
by case, or do you meet, is it individual case by case, or do you
yeah,
meet as a group and discuss every child individually, or how to describe what's it about?
um, yeah. Oh, well, it depends on. Yeah, absolutely. It's client centered, so
Mm.
depends on the client's needs. But in terms of social work, I am an allied health professional.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes, you are.
I'm registered with the Australian Association of Social Work. So you can actually use your capacity building funding to access my service.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
ultimately,
great.
my goal is to build the client's capacity. So whether that's accessing the right services, or advocating so that they can access the right funding and support. Um,
Are you
and
specifically going to
linking
focus a
in
pedi?
with various services, not just the obvious um, allied health, but do they need Centrelink? Do they need a healthcare card? Do they need a disability permit? There are Carer Gateway. There are lots of other services outside of the typical OT, physios, those obvious things. But it's about looking at the client holistically and what other things can we do to help
And even
improve their
adults, or just particularly
outcomes.
young children?
Yeah, everyone. I
Everything.
think my
It's great.
particular passion is pediatrics,
Yeah,
but I'm happy to support anyone that needs that support.
you're amazing.
And I will not promise to know all the answers because every individual is
It's
so
different.
unique and has different needs, and so I can't promise to know everything. I'm not Tiago,
Yeah.
but I will do my best to find the answers, and I will do my research and yeah,
I
do whatever it
guess
takes to advocate.
I guess you just listening and giving that space for clients or parents to just, I call it verbal diarrhea. Just say it because
Yeah,
their mind is running at 50 miles per hour. Can you just imagine what they're feeling,
yeah,
especially if they've got all these emotions of doubt, confusion, and loneliness? It's nice just to have someone who says, "Yeah, I feel you, I hear you,
yeah,
I've been there, and I am here,"
yeah.
which is
And
lovely.
I actually get it. I do get it because, like we said, if and friends and family are well-meaning and they're wonderful, but no one truly gets that unless you're walking these shoes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I hope that, with my own experience, that can help me to relate to on another level. So
And if
yeah,
anyone's
I would love.
watching, I think you can ask questions for Jazz here, and we'll get to them at
No
the end.
problems.
Uh, we'll get
Oh yeah,
to them
yeah.
after if anyone has any questions for Jazz.
Yes, more than
Um,
happy to answer any questions.
so how do clients, people access the services? Do they just go to your Instagram page and reach out that way, or do you run monthly meetings? Like, describe it. Like, so what do you do?
Yeah, you can reach out. Look, I haven't officially launched, but I am happy to um, start supporting clients if they need to. And I will be limiting how many clients I take on
Yeah,
because just for my own
mental health.
self-care. Yeah.
Mm.
And to give each client as much attention that they deserve. I don't want to overwhelm myself. So I will taking on a few at a time, but yeah, you can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a chat. And even if it's I'm happy to have, just a consult and see if it is something for you, if you think that I can help. There's no obligation. Always a listening ear if you just want to message me. We do have a website that is not 100% complete, but it's getting there.
Getting there.
So,
And
um,
you're funded through NDIS when clients reach out to you, or is there a charity that we can donate to for your group? I'm not sure from a financial perspective how are you supported.
Yeah. That's so. As an allied health professional,
You get that?
you
Yeah,
can use the
I thought so.
capacity building funds
Hmm.
for that, and I can write support letters. Um, to a big passion of mine is getting that carer support, so that's something that I can do. So I'll do an assessment on the child, for example, looking at what are the barriers, what's going on for that child, and why additional support is needed for whatever it might be, whether it's that practical support of the carer or trying to. So I almost went to the AAT trying to get extra additional funding support for my
What's AAT?
son.
For people that don't know what that is, what's AAT?
Sorry, that's the
Yeah.
Administrative Appeals Tribunal. So I've
Mm-hmm.
appealed the
You did say.
decision, internal reviews, and then they kept rejecting the decision to give me extra
Because you wanted
support.
more.
I
What
wanted
was there, if you don't mind me
extra.
asking, why did they deny it, given that his needs are so complex? If you're comfortable to discuss it.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm an open book. So
Yeah.
Jonah was accessing 10 hours was being funded 10 hours a week in carer support,
Mm-hmm.
which is essentially 2 hours a day for
Mm-hmm.
across the weekdays,
Mm-hmm.
which is just nowhere near enough. I have two other little ones who need me as well.
Yeah.
But Jonah is a full-time job. He needs
Yeah.
constant supervision. He's will have random seizures without warning. He will fall over. He's had numerous injuries. He has no awareness of danger. So he will put things in his mouth. He will crawl and climb things. He will, it's constant. It's like, and he's heavy.
Mm.
He's developmentally, he's about an 18-month-old, but physically
Physically,
he's
the
a big
seven.
boy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so lifting him, he'll have a seizure in a bath, and I'm on my own, and that's very dangerous for him and me.
Mm.
I've fallen down the stairs with him. I could go on and on of all the
Mm.
unsafe scenarios I've been in. And they just kept saying no, that it's my responsibility because he's a child.
That's so
But they need
disheartening
to,
to hear. That's just that would annoy me. Like, how can you say it's my responsibility when I'm physically struggling with his
yeah,
needs, and I'm falling down the stairs and are they silent seizures as well in the
yeah, the
bath? Like,
thing.
they're
Oh
they're
no,
high
they
they're high
yeah.
they're high
I'm
risk and it's quite
Well,
dangerous.
you can imagine his whole body
But he just
stiffening and jerking, and he becomes dead weight. So trying to lift this body that's convulsing, and he's slippery, and it's extremely dangerous.
mm,
Um, so I have a rule that no one is to bath him unless there's two people in the house.
mm,
So there are
mm,
days where I can't bath him because it's just
mm,
unsafe for both him and I.
mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
so yeah, it's tough. And the thing is, it's hard to ask for help, right? And then you've got
From
this
family
from
or just
anyone.
yeah,
It's hard to ask for help. And then you have
yeah.
this system who's telling you, no, it's your responsibility. So what a way to make you feel crap about it when you're
Mm,
trying to, it takes a lot of bravery to ask for that help. And then you're told, no,
mm,
it's your job. Now I'm trying to get a safe bed for him because he needs a rail because he doesn't
mm,
have the cognition or the motor skills to transfer in and out of bed. And I'm told at his age, he should independently transfer in and out of bed. Otherwise,
mm,
it's a restrictive practice
mm,
because
mm,
I'm
mm.
confining him in a space. Um, it just blows my mind. So I am now going to the administrative
So
tribunal for
when
that
when's
one.
that?
First, we have a case conference on the 2nd of
Hmm.
November. So whether
Hmm.
they try and resolve that outside of court, I don't know. I'll see how we go. But yeah, I mean, it's just all this extra
And
stress that
the and the evidence, is it just personal recounts, or do you have to show them videos of him
I
experiencing the
did.
seizure? Or
I did.
yeah,
This has been going on for 12 months now that I've been trying to access
wow,
this. 12 months. I've provided everything they've asked for to prove that it's not a restrictive practice. My neurologist has said he could die
yeah,
from a seizure.
yeah,
If like this is serious stuff, you know, and
And the people in the was it tribune, so the AAT, or did we call it
Yeah.
AAT? The tribe, I can't even, I'm a speech path, I can't even say the name. Tribunal.
Yeah.
What's their background? Are they in allied health, or are they just in accounts? Like, what's their background experience?
At
I
the
don't know.
well, there will be a solicitor representing NDIS,
And they have no background experience in
but the
disability, or
NDIS have no idea. They don't.
yeah,
A lot of
like
them
a
don't.
business structure. Mm.
I, I've had one of my LICs ask me if I want Jonah to do karate lessons. Like, have you
No.
even read the reports?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I just, it's scary. It's frustrating.
And I guess
Um,
what you're feeling is definitely not an isolated case. I'm sure there are
It's
many, like I
not.
think
And
the
I've had
crazy
parents tell me I'm
household.
not even going to bother because they know
Yeah.
what, and that's not fair. And that's why I want to be that support for people who are
Mm,
tired and exhausted, who deserve that support. I will fight for
and
you.
advocacy.
Yeah.
Endlessly advocate for your child. Yeah, because you have
So
they have the right.
social work can do a
Mm,
lot of what support coordinators do, but even more.
mm,
I'm being
mm.
told support coordinators can't really advocate for you, but as a social worker, I can, and
Yeah,
that's really
that's
something I'm
wonderful.
passionate about.
You're
So,
very special, Jasmine. So I've got some comments. I don't know if can you
yeah.
see them?
Um,
Um,
I feel like I have to go back.
so Sandy says, love you, sis, you're amazing. Thanks, Sandy. Vula said, amazing work and so amazing that you found a gap you're aiming to close. Wishing you all the very best to help those in need. Help You Cope has asked, what gives you strength on the hard days?
That's very relevant because today was a hard day.
Yeah.
Honestly, Jonah gives me strength. I know it sounds
Mm,
well, like he's just amazing. He's so inspiring. He's so strong. And I just think if he can do it, the least I can do. When Jonah had the NG tube, my husband, and he kept ripping it out, and I had to keep running back to hospital. And my husband's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I was like, the least you can do is hold his hand. He's the one doing the hard work.
mm,
Come on.
mm,
He's
mm,
just, so
mm.
he gives me inspiration. He gives me strength. And honestly, I know it's cliche, but just one day at a time.
Absolutely.
So today I got that bad news and I'm like, oh my God, start thinking about the future and what that means. But we don't know what the future's going to hold. So
No, no one
sometimes we
knows.
stress for no reason.
Mm.
So just dealing with things in small chunks
It definitely gives
really
you
just
perspective,
helps.
doesn't it?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not perfect and I get overwhelmed. I do get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Are
I
you getting
try and just
services for you? I know you offer so much support for everyone, and being so thoughtful for everyone that needs the support, but are you accessing services for yourself as well? Because you need to think about yourself in the situation.
yeah, I know. No, I'm not at the moment. I'm okay. I'm okay. I have my bad. I get support from friends and
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
more
Maybe you
informal
need to have
support.
something in your inclusion spot for yourself.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
people to just to reach out through your Instagram page, and
Yeah.
they go from there. I'll have a look at other questions. The crazy household. I went through the same thing with both my kids. We did end up going to tribunal twice. We won both times. So, hey, I guess that's comforting to hear that if you
Yeah.
continually advocate for your child, there's silver light, there's some hope. And Sylvia, thank you for sharing your story. Absolutely amazing. And then yeah, this
This
trip
tube was
was
extreme.
extremely,
He knows the hell I went through.
who knows? Yeah, is he still on
So
the tube?
I don't know. I haven't like shared with for those who follow Dancing Through the Rain.
Yeah.
I think I actually ever really shared. Sorry if I'm talking
Easter
too
was the
much. I don't
time.
know if people want to end this, but
Tell us what
yeah,
happened around Easter. It was Easter
it's
time, I remember.
because I remember you even being like, "What? He doesn't have a tube? What's going
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on?" And I was really hoping today I'd be able to share some good news, and I kind of was waiting for that, but it didn't go to plan. But anyway,
So
so
in
Jonah
summary,
has.
Jonah back in Easter time had a case. I think we were actually meant to meet up for lunch, I remember. And you cancelled. He was really sick with flu or pneumonia.
Yeah.
And then he was really unwell with pneumonia, which then led to him aspirating. And now aspirating means a simple way of saying it, fluid going down the wrong way when he's drinking.
Yep.
So rather than going all the way down into his stomach, it would go into his lungs, and which can develop pneumonia and make someone very unwell. And is that what he experienced? I can't remember specifically.
Yeah, so he had a long hospital admission. He was really unwell. He had pneumonia. He was in ICU. He was
I
extremely
remember.
sedated. He was having seizures. So he couldn't eat or drink. It wasn't safe for him because he was so sedated. He was sleeping for days. So we had a NG tube, which is a nasogastric tube, which goes through the nose. And so, yeah. And then we needed, I did have some concerns because he was coughing anyway prior to his admission. He was coughing on drinking when he was drinking.
And
so we were going
sign of
through
aspiration. So when someone coughs after they've swallowed, that's like a sign of, fluid's going down the wrong way. The lungs are rejecting it, so we need to get that examined.
Yeah. And he was coughing and vomiting up his medicine a lot. So anyway, I had reached out to the hospital and asked for an assessment to test his swallowing. Anyway, as you can imagine, there's massive wait lists, but we ended up in hospital, and so they decided, let's do this test while he's here. He's got the tube. We've got to make sure he's safe to drink before he leaves. So they did that, and turned out he was aspirating on thin fluids, and the recommendation was that he have fluids that are thickened. So you've got to put a special solution in water, which makes the consistency thick to avoid going down the wrong tube, basically. Now, Jonah, it was gross. Disgusting. It's like slime. So he was refusing to drink. He was eating, which was fine. So he was able to eat orally, but he refused to drink. So that was extremely stressful. They couldn't, there's obviously risks of him dehydrating. So we needed that tube we were giving his medication through the tube for his seizures and his fluids. So he had that for, I don't know, a couple of months. I was often rushing back to the hospital daily, sometimes twice a day, because he would pull it out. It was uncomfortable. It's irritating. And that's considered a medical emergency when that comes out. So, yeah, off to hospital I'd run. Then there was one day he pulled it out, and I had a hospital appointment the next day, and I thought, he's going to be all right. He's not going to dehydrate overnight. I don't want to go to hospital in the evening and back in the morning. So I thought, I'll save it. So I did. And that morning he drank when he didn't have the tube. And I thought, okay, I'm going to tell them that I don't think he needs the tube. So I went to the hospital the next morning and I did that. I said, look, please, can we just try this while the tube's out? Let's just see how he goes. And they were happy to do that. And we did, and he was drinking ever since, and they were happy with his progress. He did really well. He was amazing. And Tiago really supported me a lot around that, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah. Tiago's my speech therapist, that's who I'm sure.
Not me. Tiago.
She was my amazing speech therapist, but then she left me.
I was. And then I left. Oh, wow. Okay. And
I had my pediatrician telling me, with someone like Jonah, they should have a PEG tube, a gastrostomy, which is actually a tube through the stomach. So you need surgery for that.
Disheartening for someone who enjoys eating.
The frustration for me is he's never seen my son eat. He's never, he looks at Jonah's. He literally said someone with this list of diagnoses should have a tube. So sometimes they just put you in a box. But that's where I say, back yourself up. Sometimes you break the rules. And obviously be careful, be safe, get advice. I'm not just doing this, I'm not just making it up. I'm getting advice from my speech therapist. He's guiding me. But and things may change, but in the meantime, I'm just so proud of him that, we've had a few good months. without a tube. And yeah,
And I guess what
one
you
day at a
stressed
time.
in the beginning, is have a team behind you.
Yeah.
Don't fight. Don't embrace the journey on your own. Have a team that you manifest with and that you connect with and that listen to you as a caregiver and are well informed of your child's disability and the difficulties that they're experiencing to guide you appropriately, right? And I guess you're
Mm.
praising Thiago, is that his name, Thiago, for his support. And I guess that's your emotional support too when you're confused in a situation as well.
Yeah, and look, all my therapists I'm talking a lot about him because he's here, and the tube's been a big thing after today. But I really have built a great team, and don't be afraid to break up with therapists. I know it's hard, and I struggle too. But at the end of the day, it's about your child, and someone may be a great therapist, but they may not be a great therapist for your
Good
child.
for you.
Sometimes there's
Yep,
just not.
that's
It just
true.
doesn't work.
Mm.
I've had one of my therapists for 7 years now. She was right there right from the start, and she's still
I
around.
remember her.
Yeah.
I love
So
her. Is it Gabby?
that's
Gabby.
Gabby.
Yeah, Gabby.
Um,
She's amazing.
she is. So yeah, I think that Jonah's got a really good team, strong team at the moment. I'm really proud of his team. And another thing is also so I'm just giving little tips here and there, but I think an important thing for self-care as well is sometimes you need to have a break from therapy as
Mm.
well. Sometimes things are tough just for yourself, for your own, to cope. Sometimes things get too much, and yeah, it's okay to
Have a
just
break. Yeah,
take that break. And
I did a video on that not long ago because some clients that weren't just responding to treatment, and I said, look, a break isn't scary. A break is actually welcomed. It helps just calm things down, and just you can start living again without all the therapy appointments.
mm,
So I guess definitely thank you for echoing that. Like a break is always welcomed, and you need it just to keep living the reality. I have a question for AJ and Olivia. Um, Tell me the best thing about being a big brother to Jonah, who has some difficulties as well.
Um,
What's
well,
the best thing about him?
the best thing is, like he still knows like that we are his brother and sister, and he
Oh,
loves us.
and that's what it
aw.
comes down to, love, isn't it?
And
Just love
how do you
him.
know he loves you if he can't talk or tell you?
Because if I know this, because if I'm just sitting down, or like I'm near him, he'll just come and hug me.
And that's all you need. A simple hug, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, AJ, that's beautiful.
And
That's
that's
really
the
sweet.
amazing thing. Yeah, the
That's
words are
a
great, but
reflection on you, Jazz. That's a reflection on you and Stephen, is it? The way you've raised them to just embrace and just this is him and this is your brother and he's part of the family and regardless of his difficulties. Everyone loves you, AJ. Everyone's like, love you,
do
AJ.
you want to say anything, Liv? Do you want to say anything about Jonah? Oh, come over. What was the question? I forgot the question.
What
What's one of the
uh, I forgot.
best things about being Jonah's sister?
Big sister.
Oh.
Oh, right.
Um,
There's lots, isn't there?
um, like I get to play with him every day, and he's like so cute. He loves me. I love him, and I don't know.
Doesn't he just make you happy?
hmm
He makes everyone
Your,
happy. That's what
you
everyone
and your
says.
brother
I'm
said the
not
main,
biased.
you and your brother said the main word, love, right? Just love and accept, which is just so beautiful. Absolutely. God bless you both. And God bless you, Jazz. Like you are an absolute inspiration, and the support that you give others is just precious. So as a clinician and just seeing what you offer clients or even peers is just beautiful to see. So I just thank you so much for offering that because it's such I can't even find the word. It's such a small area that needs to be definitely heightened a lot more. So
Yeah.
thank you. And thank you for
Thank
using
you.
this platform to just I guess we can endlessly talk about NGIS and
I
all these
know,
difficulties between
I
accent,
know. There's
and I
so
guess that
much.
we can sit
I could
here,
talk
but
on about this forever. Sorry if I've kept
I know.
people. I don't know.
No,
But
don't
yeah,
apologize. I guess
um,
we can keep going on and on and on, but I'm
yeah,
just thankful that you came here just to tiptoe into the industry and the lack of support that is out there. And now you've highlighted that you can offer that support and be um, that network for helping other parents who are in your similar situation. And in going to the inclusion spot. And what I love most today is seeing your two other beautiful children and how they just see it as it's an everyday task. And they just really echoed that it comes back down to love, really
yeah.
back down to love.
It really
Yeah.
does.
Does anyone have any
Really
questions,
lucky
or
to have them.
Jasmine's everyone just singing praises about you?
Oh,
You're amazing.
thank you. I'm really not. People say
You
that all the
are.
time, but
You are. You need to
it's,
recognize how
you know,
amazing you are.
you just do what you've got to do. Like I honestly feel so blessed.
Yeah.
He's changed my life. He's made me a better person. He
Even
inspires
made
me,
me a better
and
clinician. I never used to do treatment around music, and hey, the minute Despacito came on, I was like, "Yep, let's groove." And still to now, whenever
I
I hear
love
that
that
song, I'm like,
whenever someone hears Despacito, they think
"You
of
just
Jonah.
think of
Pretty much
Jonah."
everyone.
And didn't the singer reach out to you? I think we tagged him, and we were like so happy that international
Made
superstar
my whole
liked your
mood.
Instagram post. You should
It was
meet him when he comes to
amazing.
Australia.
Oh, I intend to. He needs to come.
I should tag him in this live. Say, hey, come here or do a live with us. Um, so no one's asked questions. They're just singing praises of you. But to wrap up our meeting, every morning I go for a walk and I send a little video to a few close friends of my positive thoughts and affirmations for the
Oh,
day. But one thing I do,
hold on.
oops,
Think of,
okay,
yep.
yeah,
Is that Jonah?
Sorry. That did
oh,
it. Oh, shit. Sorry.
okay,
Here's what
all
I'm
right,
talking about. Sorry.
okay,
Sorry, guys.
all right. No,
Bye.
don't apologize. Go do what you need to do. Hang up, hang up. I'll hang up. Um, so that was just unexpected, but I guess that just shows the reality of a child with a disability and how you have to be on all the time and things can just randomly happen. Now my heart's just beating really fast. I hope Jonah's okay. Um, I will touch base with Jasmine later to see if he's okay and he isn't experiencing a seizure. I'm really nervous for her. Yes. So thank you for participating and watching this live today. I hope you found it useful and beneficial, but please reach out to her business page if you need anything. But just to wrap up, I said every morning I ask my friends, what word do you want to add to your day to make your day better, or what word would you remove from your day to make your day better? This morning I said the word consistency. We need to have consistency in order to see change. But just reflecting on just now, my new word right now is faith. I hope Jasmine is okay, and I have faith that everything's going to be okay for her and Jonah. Thank you for participating and watching this live today. I will touch base and give you an update on Jonah shortly as well. Have a good evening, guys, and be safe and be well. Thank you.